I made a massively deep run in the second largest tournament field ever played. There's some massive all-ins, there's some crazy hands to go over. You're not going to want to miss this action, so let's take a look. Alright guys, first break update for my second boat on the Gladiator here. Level 1, like we've got like 280 blinds. I opened the button to 3 blinds with pocket 9s, small blind calls, and then the big blind 3 bets to 15 blinds. Now normally, you would think that this is a standard play, standard size, and we can call, but like I've said before, and I say it a million times, big blind 3 bets are under bluffed. I just kind of feel like there is some ace king and ace queen in there, so I do make the call. Flop comes 5-5-4. He bets 8 blinds, pretty big size on this board. We call. Turn is a 6. He bets 20 blinds. We call. River is a 7, I believe. So like a 4-liner comes in, but like he doesn't have any 8x. So we still have the overpair. He bets 50 blinds. Just hoping that he has like ace king of clubs that missed, and also kind of just calling here for information. So I do make the call, and of course he shows pocket jacks for a better overpair. So we lose about half of our stack right off the start. We start at 30k, and then right after that we are down to 15k. But then this leads us to the rest of the hands, which start going our way. The table is so soft, like everyone's just limping in, limp calling. Nobody is 3-betting anything. I've seen multiple times people flat ace king and jacks pre-flop. It's just like a super soft table. We can really read like exactly what everyone has. So we're sitting on about half a starting stack here for this next hand. A old man coffee limps under the gun, and I am in +1 with 10-6 suited. Now normally under GTO this isn't even an open, this is just a fold at this position. But I'm starting to realize that I just have to start being very aggressive with all my suited combos, because like nobody is 3-betting pre, and just like I'm gonna take control of a lot of these pots. So I do ISO raise up to about 5 blinds. The small blind quickly calls, and then the under the gun limper folds. So we go heads up to a flop. Flop comes ace queen 3 1 heart. So we've got a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, but nothing else. Small blind checks. I continuation bet for 3 blinds. He calls. Turn is a 2 of hearts, so we pick up the backdoor flush draw. Small blind checks. I now barrel for 10 blinds on the turn, just hoping to take it down here, or backup plan rivering a flush, and he does fold. So we pick up a nice one there with a complete bluff, which leads us to the final hand before break, which is where I can update the chip stack, because we're doing really well right now. And so like I said, starting stack was 30k. We're sitting at about 21k at this point. We're just like grinded back from 15 to 21, just like being aggressive and taking down small pots. So we are under the gun with 10-7 suited. Again, I'm just getting involved as much as I can. 10-7 of clubs, very important. So I open to 2.1 blinds. It folds around to the button who calls, and then everybody else folds. And the flop comes 8-9 jack, 2 clubs. We flop a straight, the second nuts, and we also have a redraw to a flush, and we have a gut shot to a straight flush. So this is just like an insane flop for us. I decided to start with a check just because I know like when these guys see a check, they just assume like weakness, and I just kind of want to get like a really good read on my opponent to see what he's got. So I check, and he immediately bets out for half pot. So in my head, I'm just thinking he's got top pair type hand, so I really want to keep him in. You'll be surprised what he shows up with. So I call the flop bet, and then the turn is a board pairing 8. So we still have a straight, we still have that flush draw, but now the board is jack 8-9-8. He bets big. I check, and he bets big on the turn. He bets about a pot size bet on the turn. Obviously, like just never folding. I'm just deciding if I want to raise now or keep him in. So I do decide to just call, and then the river comes the 6 of clubs. So we river a flush. It's not a straight flush because the 9 was not a club, but we do river the 6 of clubs. So now we have a flush, and on this river, I just leading would be way too suspicious. So I do go for the check raise. I check, and to my delight, he bets out a very large bet, about 3/4 pot. It's about half of our stack remaining, and we know we have only one other move. I go all in, And he just goes, ah, shit, I should have checked back. And that's exactly what you want to hear when you're all in. Like, I was pretty sure I had the best hand, but I just, you know, wasn't sure what I was going to get paid by. And he sits there and thinks and talks out loud and just goes, like, annoyed at himself for not checking back the river. And then eventually he does make the call with Queen 10. So he flopped the nuts, the better straight. We were completely coolered on the flop. And the turn, we were drawing slim, and we river our flush to get bailed out. We get a full double up. We are now sitting at 45,000 chips from a 30,000 starting stack. So this is like the peak stack I had in the day one yesterday. So the fact that we're already there on the first break is very good news. So I'm gonna be back later and fuck, let's spin it up. Let's go. So an early position player who was playing pretty, I would say, fishy, like they're limping all their garbage and then just like min raising anything decent. They min raise, so we know they have at least something decent. The next player to act calls the min raise, and then it goes to the button. And like I said, like people, especially these recreational players, they do not 3-bet unless they have a premium. The button 3-bets huge. So it goes raise to 1600, call, and then the button 3-bets to 10,000 chips. Folds around to me in the big blind, and what do we look down at? Ace King offsuit. It's kind of a nightmare spot because we just know that the button is not 3-betting wide at all, but I think about it and I realize that he's gonna have queen sometimes, he's gonna have jack sometimes, he's gonna have ace king, so we definitely just have to jam. There's already so much dead money in the middle, so I do say I'm all in. The initial raiser folds, and then the caller is tanking for quite a while, kind of throws his hands up in the air and then eventually says I fold. And then we get snap called by the button as expected, and he's got pocket queens, so we have a flip on our hands. I unfortunately didn't get my phone out in time to get the footage, but the good news is when we go to the flop, it comes king, king, deuce, so we immediately flop trips. The turn is a 5, and I'm praying to not see a queen on the river, and the river is an ace. So we make a full house and stack that player completely. We bring our chip stack all the way up to 100K after that. So it was just like a massive, massive hand. We were chip leading the table. And yeah, finally a massive flip goes our way. And the crazy part about this hand is the player in middle position who called the open and then was tanking on whether he should call my all-in or not, tells me he had ace-king offsuit. Unbelievable that he just calls and then folds to a jam. Like, just unbelievable plays. So yeah, that was the big one. After that, we kind of just chipped down a little bit, just pretty unavoidable spots. We played a couple blind versus blind spots where we just missed. And then the last hand before break, there was a player who kind of blasted off his entire stack. He called an all-in with second pair and was up against the nuts. So it's a pretty crazy call, and he was left with crumbs. But he just kept going all in every hand and somehow doubling up. And then, which leads us to the last hand before break. I'm under the gun and I have pocket sevens. So I opened the 2. Folds around to that player who's sitting on 4.5 blinds, and he goes all in. Folds back to me, I obviously call. And he has pocket 9s, which is just brutal. So we get it in pretty bad there. And he flops a set of 9s. We turn a flush draw, and then we river a set of 7s. So yeah, I took a picture of that. You can take a look here. Just ridiculous runouts. But moral of the story is after the second break, we're sitting on 85,000, which is going to be good for 56 big blinds after the break. So we are still very healthy. And yeah, this is the best run we've had in the Gladiator yet. So I'm just going to focus up, get some food in me, and get back there and make it all the way.
Players, all your chips stay on the table there and drink any chips taken off the tournament forward from out of play.
All right, we are on the third break from the Gladiator, day 1B. And fortunately, these levels didn't go quite as swimmingly as the last ones. We're still doing okay, but we're sitting at 80K at this break. We got pocket aces under the gun, raised it, and unfortunately got 4 callers. And one of our opponents had pocket 9s and flopped a set of 9s. So we c-bet flop, got 4 calls, and at that point probably should have just given up, assuming somebody hit a set, but turn checked around, and on the river, the person with the set of 9s let out pretty small for like 3.5 blinds. So I figured I could see it, could just be top pair, but nope, it was a set. Current chip count, we have 286,000 from a 30,000 starting stack. The big hand that kind of sent us into the stratosphere. We are sitting on about 11 blinds. And before this, we open jammed pocket sevens on 11 blinds from the hijack, got it through. Afterwards, we had about 10 bigs in the small blind, and under the gun open, we had pocket fours and rejammed and got that through. So we've been all in at risk a couple times and just been able to get the folds. Finally, we see an open from +1. We have 14 blinds and we are in the big blind. And I look at ace jack offsuit. You know what we're doing? I go all in. The +1 player shrugs and flicks in the call. He's got pocket nines. We go to a flip and we see an 8 in the window, but then an 8 on the flop, and the runout's clean. We hold. So we get a big double up there, up to like 25 blinds. It's great. And then the very next hand, we are in the small blind with our freshly doubled up stack. We see a short stack from under the gun go all in for 8 blinds. His friend, actually, in the button, decides to go all in for 10 blinds. And then we look down and we have pocket jacks. Oh my goodness, I rejam. The big blind folds. We're in a 3-way all in. It's king queen versus pocket 10s versus pocket jacks. And I don't even want to say anymore. Roll the footage.
Okay, thank you. Not bad. Hey.
Oh, let's go. Come on. What a river. Good game.
How do you want to drink, my bro?
Rivers be deadly.
Anyway, after we won that sickening 3-way all in, we've got piles of chips. We're pretty much chip leading the table. Got about 300,000 in our stack now. And I just start going to work. Everyone's playing very nitty because we're approaching the bubble, so I'm just raising a lot. There was one hand where the cutoff opened and I had ace-6 suited on the button, and I 3-bet him, and we took it down. 3-bet under the gun open with ace-king offsuit and took that down. Exactly 4 people off the money, 689 get paid. There's 693 left going into dinner break. So I think the bubble's gonna burst very, very soon, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. All right, guys. Oh God, it is dark in here. I'm back in my room for the 20-minute break. Don't have much time, so I'm going to give a quick update. We have 926,000 chips. I think we're chip leading our table. We might be one of the chip leaders in the whole event right now. There's only like 200 and something left. We're an hour and a half away from day 2. We've already locked up like $800, but that is not what we're playing for here. Don't really have a lot of hand histories. A lot of this has just been all in pre, but I will give the lowdown of the last couple hands. And sorry if my video footage is bad. I'm just like scrambling to get my phone out as I go. I'm not too experienced with this yet, but pretty much the last big hand we played there, actually, I'll go over 3. So first one, a very aggro, seemingly good reg opens from middle position, and we have 9-10 suited in the big blind off of 20 bigs. I defend, and then the flop comes 4-5-6 with 1 club. We have 10-9 of clubs. I think I make a bit of an error here. I go for a lead because I'm gonna want to have some bluffs, but I think it's much better to be leading a gut shot and backdoor flush draw here. Instead, we just have 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw, so I think this was a bit of a misplay. But we do lead, he does call, and then the turn is a 3, so it's 3-4-5-6 now. I figured that if I'm leading an open-ender, all of them would want to check the turn, so I do check the turn. He checks back, and then the river is a 7, so the board is 3-4-5-6-7. I'm pretty sure like this player doesn't have many 8x because they raised from middle position, and stacks are relatively short. So I go ahead and lead again on the river, trying to represent the straight and blow them off a chop, so I lead for 3.5 blinds. And then the player raises me for like, I would say most of my chips. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm just like, how does he have an 8 here? It doesn't make sense. We chop all day. And so I muster up the courage and I make the call, and he's got ace-5 suited. So he flopped a pair and we do chop. That was like one of the craziest hands I've ever played. So we chop that one, no chip changes from that, but the biggest spot of the entire tournament so far, we're in the big blind, and an old man from under the gun open raises to 5.5 blinds. Remember, I'm sitting on like 18 blinds in the big blind. He open raises 5.5. And what do I look down at? Ace King suited. Well, with that much dead money, we know he's strong, but we have to run this. So I go all in, he snap calls, He's got pocket jack, classic flip. Let's take a look at the footage. Let's go. Nice hand. And yeah, after we won that flip, very thankfully, the next hand we are in the small blind. The button open shoves for about 6.5 blinds. We have pocket fives, so we call. And then the big blind tanks and tanks, and I think this is the same guy that we chopped with in the last hand. And he finally decides to fold, thankfully. We're up against king 10. We win that flip as well, running out a straight. The big blind says he had king queen suited and almost jammed. Thank God he didn't, because we would have had to fold. And we get another chip up, so that was the last hand we played before break. And now here we are at 926,000. Let's make day 2 and let's win this bracelet, man. Let's go. All right, we bagged 680K for day 2. This guy's got a lot of chips. These guys all have chips. These are all the day 2 boys. Let's go.